Karen came to St. Therese Little Flower in the spring of 2003 as the choir director. She has been a choir director, she's been our pianist, she has been at times the heart and soul, and she is always family. Although she is a faithful member of her home church, I don't know how you say that, AME Zion?
Metropolitan AME Zion.
Metropolitan AME Zion Church.
2020 Prospect.
2020 Prospect.
28.
But even though that's her, the church that she belongs to, and of course is a wonderful member of, she's also part of our family. She has given us music to lift us up when we need to be lifted up, and given us music to praise God with. And she is a very important part of our parish here. I'm trying to think of the word, but anyway. So, but not only is she a part of the family, she's made lifelong friends here, and they will continue to do stuff together, and hopefully we will see you now and then. Oh, okay, good, because I can't imagine, but she has, through our open mic intercessions, she's somebody that's come up and shared her life with us and prayed for us when we shared our life with her. So she's not just the musician here, she's Karen, and we love you very much. Now we're asking for people that if you want to come up and share with Karen some of your stories and anything you want to share, I think. Bill, are you going first? So, all right. And there's a picture book up here if you want to come look at it that's for Karen, that's got some great pictures from over the years.
Hi everyone. For those of you who might not know me, my name is Bill O'Neill. Been in the choir. I was in the choir with Karen for about 14 years, I guess, something like that. Anyway, Karen asked me to come today and to say a few words. And being Irish, I can't do that. So you'll just have to bear with me here. Karen came here in 2003, right?
That's right.
Well, Karen didn't realize she was really taking on a big challenge. But the primary challenge that God gave her back then was within 2 years of coming here, she suffered what was pretty much a catastrophic stroke of MS. Multiple sclerosis. And if you're don't know anything about MS, you might want to Google it. But some of the symptoms, or some of the results of having MS, are chronic fatigue, chronic pain and episodic pain, neuropathy in your feet and in your hands, and then many other more personal symptoms that result from MS. And that happened, like I said, within just about a couple of years of her coming here. And before Karen had this stroke, she played the piano marvelously, just marvelously. But after she had it, she had to relearn how to do that. MS is a disease that affects the brain and the nerves. It actually causes sort of a fight between the two of them. So she had to relearn how to do those keys. And some of us could tell during that period of time. It took a while. But remarkably enough, she just kept playing and she kept instructing us. And she achieved marvelous things. Some of the things that Karen did with the choir, led us in during those years since she came here. Well, she's been here every Sunday that I ever knew of, and every practice that I ever knew of, always on time or before time. She took our choir, our little choir, out into the community. We've gone and sung at parishes throughout Kansas City area, both on the Kansas side and this side. Some of the other notable areas that concerts that she led us on were the Kansas City Art Institute, Martin Luther King Day, we sung there, sang at the Missouri Catholic Conference in Jefferson City, sang at the 150th year of the celebration of the Sisters of St. Joseph in Kansas City. And some other events, Christmas songs at Hallbrook Country Club and Crown Center. Just a lot of different places that she took us to, and she always asked the choir beforehand, do you want to do this? And she took every one of those things on. One of the things that Karen does, like I said before, she was always here on Sundays and always at practice, but particularly during Holy Week. That's a marathon for the choir. You have to learn to be ready for Palm Sunday, and then Holy Thursday, and Good Friday, and Easter Vigil, and then finally Mass on Sunday. And those Easter Vigils, you know how long they take. 2.5, 3 hours. She's a real athlete on the piano. The things she did with the choir, she made a space for each of us in the choir. And she encouraged each of us to find our space and to find our voice. And she fit us in, all of our voices, into the space in between the notes. And she developed each of us. She'd find a special song for each of us. And she'd make sure that we knew that song before she asked us to get up in front of the mic. And she made she didn't make us, but she taught us how to get in front of that mic. Many of us who would never have thought to have done so before. Let's see, personally. Well, let me mention a couple other things. I told you I was Irish. Anyway, we've had some weddings in the choir that Karen has taken us on. Eric Shimamoto and his wife, Lori, we were sang and participated in that wedding. And our longest trip was when we went to the wedding of Isabel and Charles, all the way up to Des Moines. And boy, were they surprised, but happily surprised, as we were. Karen's taught me a great deal about music and singing, but also about how to lead a good Christian life. She took my voice that was old and unsure and told me to sing not for myself, but for the love and joy of the Lord and for my fellow human beings. She told me not to sing from my head or out of fear of failure, but from my heart and the love I have for God's music. I mentioned those weddings. Well, we've had some funerals in the choir too. We had the funeral for Annie Carter, Fred Brown, Chester Highshaw, and of course Teddy McKim. And each one of those Karen has led us through and to, and in the sorrow that we felt, she gave us a lot of joy too. Anyway, I just want to say thank you to Karen, and I'm sure I speak for all the choir members, both present and past, for all of the magnificent, wonderful years she spent with us. And again, we're very happy for you, Karen, that you can go on to the next stage in your life.
Thank you so much.
Well, I can say a lot about Karen. I can speak for Sharon Hardy, and I can speak in the voice of the weather woman. I've got a dual personality. But I will truly miss Karen because I didn't grow up as a cradle Catholic. Primarily, my beginning experience in church was with Black church. AME, African American, and then I was Baptist, and then I've been Heinz 57. But primarily, my feel, and I know that my temperament for music is out of that gospel style. I don't like to sing psalms, and she knows that, so does Tammy. But I love that feel of the spirituals and the gospel music. And Karen plays that very well, that foot stomping gospel music. And so I love that gets in my bones, gets in my spirit. So I appreciate that. I will truly miss that, in terms of our experience here at St. Therese. I do want to say that has tempered me in many ways with that, because she's always been able to come to me, and she knows I'm going to give her, if she's asking me for advice, she knows that I'm not going to hold back on any of it. It's going to come out, and either you take it like it is or it isn't. And so we're two very different natures of that kind. And so there's a lot of things that Karen has experienced in her 16 years being choir. Some of it that's made her cry, some of it that's made her very happy. And I just hope when she comes to me, she knows I'm the kind of person, I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to talk to someone else about how I feel and then tell her one thing. If you ask me, I'm going to tell you, and I call it out of love and constructive criticism. And I think you've always accepted it like that. So, I'm going to miss her. She's asked me at various times for personal advice in terms of what to do in terms of choir, things that are going on within family, things that are going on in her finances. Can I point her to a way, somebody that can give her some expert advice? And I've loved that. Lastly, I just want to say, if you know anything about Karen and her patience, which I don't have, because I don't have that same thing, but children gravitate toward her. Have you noticed that little children, when they come, they get near that piano and they want to play? She has that patience to be with them. And that's the kind of patience and love that she shows for every individual in this community. So I'll miss her. I know she'll be back from time to time, but I love that, and I'm going to miss that foot-stomping gospel style.
Did you know that we have 3 relics in the St. Therese Chapel? And I've got an announcement to make. First of all, a relic is a body part of a saint or an item that's used by a saint. So I declare that the piano upstairs is now a relic. And I assert that the piano keys have been touched by the hands of an angel. And those piano keys have led me to the kingdom. Now, my name is John, a.k.a. Flash Gordon.
He means that.
She calls me Elvis,
That's right.
and I'll accept that. I call her Preacher Woman. You who know her know why I would say that. So I want to talk about the mountain, the miracles, the musician, the mantras, and the messenger. What Bill talked about when Karen had this illness, she had a stroke. She has come from paralysis to pianist. She had to be thinking, besides her very life was at stake, and the doctors were not optimistic. She had to be thinking, will I ever play for God again?
Mercy, tell the truth.
So, preacher woman, God didn't just give you a hill. God gave you a mountain. And you climbed that mountain, and you told me, God has never failed me yet. Whenever I talk to folks, and I'm proud to say that I am a member of the St. Therese community. And people will, oh, I've been to that church. How long ago? Oh, years ago. First thing, maybe the only thing they say is, wow, the music. And preacher woman, you've had other mountains. And you've climbed them. One of the things you've said, and it's always stayed with me, and I've seen her in some very challenging situations. She puts a smile through the tears and says, no one can steal my joy.
Absolutely. Amen.
And when we sing the song, you don't have to worry, joy comes in the morning, that is preacher woman. And how appropriate when we sing, my life is in your hands. The prayer circle that the choir has during rehearsal is quite an experience. And you already know preacher woman, but when she talks today, you will know she is not talking about God. She will talk about God and about Jesus, but she's experiencing God. She's experiencing Jesus. And when you hear Karen talk to Jesus and God, it's talking to a friend. And she will ask for anything, and she never prays in fear. She always prays in confidence. As Bill has said, she has spread her joy and her talents way beyond the walls of St. Therese. In addition, we've gone to hospitals together. We've gone to hospices together. We've gone to retirement homes. We've gone to family homes. We've gone to celebrations. And what do you bring with you? You bring your keyboard, your hope, your joy, your comfort, and your peace. You also have so much wisdom. And I'm going to conclude this with what you say to me. I love you, and there's just nothing you can do about it.
I'm not quite as tall as they are. I have to bring it down just a little bit. Karen means so much to my family. I come from 3 generations of musicians. Grandmother who sang with Mahalia Jackson, mother who sang with Count Basie, Paul Robeson, and many other jazz artists, and I grew up with that. And so it was just a matter of fact in my household. I grew up in church in Kansas City, Kansas, at St. Rose. And that was where I learned to play clarinet and jazz saxophone in church. So when my sister told me, you're living in Missouri, you need to go to church here, and then I can keep up with you. So I started coming here. And Karen rocked my soul. She rocked my soul. She would accompany my youth who were singing, and I don't care what key it was, she would adapt to it because she could hear it. And it was just wonderful. That no matter what happened in the world that week, I knew that I had gospel music going on Sunday. And I didn't have to go across the city to another church. I could come to my Catholic church and have it. Then when I started bringing my granddaughter to church, and I remember the first time, well, it wasn't the first time she came to church, but she was about 4. And we were sitting there, and all of a sudden she took off down the aisle and went and sat on the piano bench. And I asked her afterwards, why did you do that? And she said, the music was pulling my heart. And I had to go and sing. And so every time she'd come to church, she'd have to sit with Karen. And so now, she's going to start taking private lessons with Karen. And so I will miss you, Karen, but you know I still call you every day. Thank you.
Well, Karen, you've just been extra special. Would you love those flowers so I can see you? Charles and I got engaged.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's right. In February of 2011. And of course I hadn't known him very long, but you know, when you're old, you kind of make up your mind pretty quickly. But we went out to lunch with Karen McDonald and her friend Benny Lipschwitz. And Karen invited me to join the choir. And I thought, well, okay, I'll maybe come and sing a little bit. So when I moved down here a few months later, I started attending, and I kept thinking, where in the heck is the music? You know, they don't have printed notes. You might find some words here and there, but they weren't giving me music books. And I kept begging for it, and it didn't exist. You know, I'd taken piano lessons for many years. I sung in choirs for many years. This was a new experience. But I finally adapted, I think. But the fun thing, too, is Charles also said, I'm not getting married without the choir. So I was going to get a little worried that maybe the choir wouldn't come to Des Moines, you know, sing at our wedding. But we dealt with Karen. We picked out a lot of songs, and we had a great time. And Aaron Huggins was there, and Liston was there. And yeah, and they really added to the music. And I think we had like at least 14 or 15, oh, you're wonderful, we love you. And they said, we love the music. That's about all I got out of them. But nevertheless, Karen's been a great friend, and she's taught me a lot about playing and improvising. And I just wish I could take lessons every day from you too, Karen. That's about all I can say right now.
Hi, everybody. This is a little different for me. I'm not used to being like at the microphone. Anybody knows me, I would tell you that I do not sing. I can teach singing, but I don't sing. Except for John, when he calls it, preacher woman, sing the song. So, let me start by saying that I want to thank St. Therese Community for being everything that you've been to me since 2003. And I remember that my god sister called me and said, my god sister Alexandria Sharp Johnson now called me and said, the St. Therese Community Church is looking for a musician. And so I said, okay, another opportunity. So I came over. Is Sister Helen still in here? Right. Well, anyway, I came over and met Sister Helen. She was actually the one who hired me. That I remember. I can't remember who the priest was then, but anyway. So I wanted to publicly thank her for hiring me and changing my life. This community has changed my life. I'm gonna try to get through this without crying, but I'm sure that I won't. Every single one of you means something to me. Don't go from this place thinking that you don't, because you do. I mean, I can call your name, but I may can call it, but you know I love you, because I'm telling you right now, this is what the world needs, is love. The reason why the world is in such a dilemma is because somebody's not being loved, and they're confused. They don't know God. So as ministers, we all are. Go out into the world and share your love, share your song, whatever you can with someone else who's not doing as well as you. One of the things that my teacher used to tell me when I was learning how to play the piano, And let me stop and say thank you to my mother, Frida Moss, who years ago, she gave me the option of taking dance or learning the piano. I took piano. I think I can still dance too, though. Anyway, had it not been for her insight and her desire for her children to have something that has kept me fed, kept me and my daughter fed for years. It's awesome to be able to do something that you love and make money. Everybody doesn't get a chance to do that. So I thank God that I was able to, after taking my lessons from UMKC, that my mother struggled to pay those bills and stuff like that. I'm sure she did. A mother of 3, 4 children by herself she raised. And I want to thank you publicly, Mama, for doing what you have for me in my life. And the fact that I still have her is a blessing.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, my mother sings like crazy all through the house. She only sings hymns now. She don't sing no gospel stuff, but she sings hymns. So that's been embedded in me since I was a little girl. Now, she took piano lessons, but I don't know that she can sit down and play a song, but it's okay. She started me on my way, and I want to thank you for doing that years ago. When I think I was about 8 years old, I started taking piano lessons, and I took for about 8 or 9 years from UMKC. Under Sally, I can't remember her last name, she would hit me if she knew that, and the other guy, George Salisbury, which you all may know his name, classical, and what I learned about him was, when I went into the class, my piano room, there was 2 huge pianos in there. He was on one, I was on the other. Scared me to death. But the reason why I had to stop taking from him was because he was a chain smoker, and when he would shut that door, I couldn't breathe. So, and then his honor for, he's already deceased. I just want to thank my teachers who did teach me. My first teacher for 1 year was a lady named Mary L. Benton, who played the organ at my church. And she also was my grandfather's girlfriend. So anyway, all that helps along when you got people that's close to you. Anyway, when I came to St. Therese, unbeknownst to me, what a blessing God was giving me. And I mean that from my heart. To grow up in a black church and do what I do there. I played for every choir, children's choir, the youth choir, the young adults, the adult choir, and the male chorus. We have 5 choirs at my church. I played for every one of them over time. And I'm not gonna tell you how old I am, but you can probably figure it out. Anyway, coming to St. Therese was a challenge. I was like, this is a Catholic church. What can I do there? As long as they got music, I can read it. Thank God I can read the music. And so it was a challenge because I didn't know what I was getting into. But lo and behold, you guys have just put a mark in my life that will never go away. Never. And the experiences that I've had here have been very beneficial to me. The people are loving. I haven't met a better group of loving people. Whenever you see my posts on Facebook, I said, these are the people that I love. Whenever I show pictures, I love this family here. Doesn't mean I don't love my home church, but you know, at home they treat you different. And they do. So, you know, Jesus was not welcome in his own home, am I right? He had the hardest time from his own. There was something, I know what I'm trying to say. So anyway, to come to a community like this and to be accepted, and the training that I had that brought me here, and to get hired, and to be compensated for what I love to do has been a blessing and a terribly good experience. Also, I have to stop and include my daughter, Ariane, who now is engaged. Yay! Okay, and also for her coming with me sometimes, and you know she's been here and sung with the choir many times. She got the voice. When I was pregnant with her, I said, God, please let her be able to sing. He gave her a voice, okay? So she is in Chicago with her fiance today. So she was going to try to come, but his stepmother has stage 4 cancer. So we want to keep them lifted up in prayer. And just while I have you, she's getting married September the 12th, 2020. So you will know more about it as it comes. So I'm looking forward to being a mother. Next week I get to go to Indianapolis, which is where she's a chaplain at the University of Indianapolis. And we're going to go pick out wedding dresses. Woo! Okay, so I'm really looking forward to that. And she's excited for everything that she's excited about St. Teresa because she likes the way her mama is excited. When I'm excited, she would get excited too, as well as my mom. And so there's always trials and tribulations whenever you do whatever work you do. It's not just good times all the time. And I want to thank you because this is what I have decided that St. Teresa has taught me. When I first came here, I think I was real soft-spoken and easygoing and okay. You guys have given me the strength to stand up and recognize who I am. That's for the first time in my life. And when you can recognize who you are, that God has given you something to share, that's a good thing. Because you can stand on your own feet, on your own ground and say yes, no. And all those that have encouraged me, Sharon, Bill, John, in their own ways, have always been very supportive. And then the entire choir, I remember listening, and Chester, of course I miss him like crazy. Chester was a fine male friend, one of a kind. And so many times I could see Chester and I making that eye contact. So when Sharon talks about that patting your foot, gospel music, that's what she's talking about. And when you can make a connection with another musician, that's a blessing. Because sometimes you can play and you're not together. And people can hear that. But I miss Chester, I miss listening. But I want to thank all of those musicians, Eric Shimoto. You know, we had to learn each other. So then once you get on one accord, then it works. And if you have God in your life, that's where your one accord comes in. Everybody's thinking, put God first, you can't go wrong. So I just want to thank you guys for everything that you've shown me and for giving me the strength to be able to stand here today. And I will always remember you and love you for all the things I've learned. I will still be around because you can't get rid of me, you know that. And I'll be back from time to time. She's on the phone. Okay, there's something else that came to my mind. And dealing with the EMS has been kind of weird because there are times when, like today, y'all heard me go ding when I wasn't supposed to do that. We're gonna say that was the MS, okay? So sometimes the message does not go through, so it is neurological disease. And I have been blessed to be able to still be able to play. When I first had the stroke, I was paralyzed on the left side. I had brain surgery, lost all my teeth, just went and bought me some, thank God for that, okay? And it was weird being in that position. Well, I remember being in the hospital and I would cry and I would say, God, am I ever gonna be able to play again? So John and Bill were absolutely right, talking about when you're so used to doing something and it gets taken from you, you learn a lot and you find out what you're made of. So God wasn't through with me then, He's not through with me now. I will still be around, I will still love all of you to the day I die. I always say that when I go, I want God to take me while I'm at the piano. That's what I want. Because it's nothing like, and the other thing too that comes to playing is that I can soothe myself. Somebody can really make me angry, I can go to the piano and I don't have to sing, but I can play and, you know, calm myself down. So understand that there's a gift in everything that God gives you. He doesn't give it for you to keep to yourself, He gives it for you to share. So I am thankful for the opportunity to have shared over 16 years. 16 is my number because I'm born August the 16th, and we have 816 area code. Okay, so I deal with numbers. Numbers mean a lot too. And then as I look around and look at your faces, I have to say this about the other sister, Helen. I tell her all the time, she's my grandma. She reminds me of my mother's mother so much. She's so loving. And she's one of them kind of grandmas you can hug and feel the hug, okay? So I just want you guys to know how much I do love you. All the priests that I have learned from, some that we conflicted sometimes, but that happens, you know. So when that happens, you look to grow. I've always been taught to look at the worst situation it could be and then move forward from there. So I try to be better. I hope I've been a better person than when I came, and that I will be better from this point forward. I want to thank you guys for everything. If I'm leaving somebody out, please overlook it. The things that I've learned is how to continue to love people through your differences, because that's another thing that's wrong. We don't know how to talk to each other. So work on not to clash. Well, we're beyond the clashing. Because that doesn't mean because you clash or have different opinions that you can't grow. Amen? Amen? So she has her good points, I have my good points, and together we have continued to been able to work together. I want to say that publicly so that you all hear from me and you don't have to wonder. some of the things that you've been told or has been said to you. If you ever want to ask me anything, I'm an open book. To my Johnson sisters back there, y'all know I love you to the bottom of my heart. And all the families that have included me in your family. I carry so many last names now, but my name is Karen Denise Moss Gordon Williams Johnson. Okay? So thank you all for this moment. Thank you for this appreciation and this reception. Because you did not have to come. You did not have to love me enough to show me. You did not have to do that. I learned this as a child. People don't have to do anything for you. They do it because they want to. I also want to say thank you to Art, who was the liturgy director when I first came, and who taught me much. Art used to give me books of stuff to read, and I would say, okay, Art, I gotta play. I can read all this, but it's okay. He was continued to be, he cared about what I knew. He wanted me to learn what was about the Catholic Church. I appreciate that. People like that are rare. So make sure you include, especially your elders, as we continue to work together and move to that high city that we all want to be in one day, which is heaven. That's where I'm going. I'm not claiming nothing else. So I want to make sure Dee and Kevin Burdick, very special friends. Can't think of your name. Ruth and this Mr. Lips. Jim, okay. Yeah, I want to say thank you to you for the many liturgy meetings that I attended. You know, none of that stuff will ever leave my brain, even though it may be mixed up sometimes. Sometimes when you have MS, it's like having scrambled eggs in your head. So sometimes things come out, I may slobber a little bit, and that type of thing. It's because I can't control it. It doesn't mean that I'm being stupid. And those things, sometimes I may snap off something. It's because I can't control what's happening. So I want you to understand about MS, but at the same time know that God still has a place for those who have deal with illnesses, especially those that are neurological. So I thank you guys for everything. BJ, thank you for all your help over the years. And if I'm, like I said, if I'm leaving somebody out, where's Mama Johnson? She not here? Okay, tell her I love her. Okay, and I'm coming to a close because I can feel this thing coming on. You guys know that I love you. Bridget, thank you very much for your love. And for everybody who's said anything to me, if I'm missing calling a name, you know that I love you. As I see your name, see the faces across, I know that I'm loved, and I thank you very much. I appreciate you. And we're going to have a great time, so let's just continue where the love is. And Frances Gordon, I'm sorry, I got to say something about, as I look at the Gordon family, you know, Frances went through an illness. I remember when they would wheel her up to the piano, and she would sit behind me at the piano. There was never a more loving spirited woman that I've ever met, and I mean that. Beautiful spirit. And don't do that. I know she's in heaven, looking down. Listen, the people who have been here all know they are still keeping us together. These are their angels, they're sending out. They go to God every day on our behalf. So understand that when you're in trouble and you go through things, there's somebody that's praying for you. Don't ever think that there is, because there is somebody who loves you and who's praying for you, even when you don't know that. So be content with your life, love each other, sing and shout, and everything's going to be all right. And I love you. Thank you very much.